Hello, and welcome to another edition of Medusa's Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Greg. Today we're going to make crepes. We sold crepes at Medusa as a dessert. We used to fill them with cheesecake, chocolate mousse, vanilla pastry cream, fruit. But today's version, we're going to do a savory one. We're going to do a ham and cheese crepe with a nice mushroom cream sauce. So the first thing I want to do is make my crepe batter so we can set it aside, let it rest a little bit while we're working on the mushroom sauce. So what we have is 9 ounces of all-purpose flour. A lot of the crepe recipes use buckwheat, but I prefer the all-purpose. I'm just not crazy about the buckwheat flour. 16 ounces of whole milk, or 2%, but I wouldn't go less than 2%. Half and half, a little too rich, so either plain milk, whole milk, or 2%. I got 4 ounces of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. Got 2 ounces of melted unsalted butter. And I'm going to put 2 whole eggs in, and I like to crack them into a bowl just to make sure there's no shells, so I don't have to fish them out of my flour and milk bowl and lose them possibly. So I'm going to mix this up, and it's kind of like pancake batter. You don't want to mix it until it's absolutely smooth. You want a few lumps in there. Pancake batter, waffle batter, crepe batter, you want them to have just a little bit of lumpage in there. It helps with the lightness of the crepe. So there we go. We have our crepe batter made. Ideally, you would like to let this set for at least a half an hour or so. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to get started on our mushroom. And in our mushroom sauce, we're going to start with a little bit of olive oil. I've already preheated my pan a little bit. I'm going to add a little nugget of unsalted butter. We got a nice sizzle going, and I'm going to put shallots and garlic to start it off with. If you don't use a lot of shallots, I suggest you do. The flavor is a little bit sweeter than regular white or Spanish onions. It's what I've learned to use when I was in New York, and it just gives you a nice flavor. So we got the garlic and the onions started. They're starting to soften up right away because I had a nice hot pan. I'm going to add the mushrooms. We'll give that a little bit of a toss. We're going to add a little bit of white wine to that just to get that steaming up and get these mushrooms cooked. About an ounce or two. A nice dry white wine. Now when you make crepe batter usually lasts no more than 4 days. So you can make it ahead of time. Depending on how cold your refrigerator is, it should last up to a week, but 4 or 5 days is about the max. So, you know, you can, and the recipe for sweet or savory crepes is the same recipe. And you'll be able to get these recipes if you're not writing it down quick enough on my website, medusakitchen.com. We're not quite there yet. We'll probably have that website ready by May 1st, so be patient. You know, we're still setting up the store and the recipe book, but all right, we're gonna let that go now, and I'm gonna put this over here onto a high heat, and I'm gonna get my pan ready. For the crepes, you want to use a non-stick pan. Just makes life a lot easier. You can see that this crepe batter is the consistency of a loose pancake batter. It's a little bit thinner than pancake batter. And I'm going to butter my little paper towel. You could use a pastry brush if you wanted. And I have a little bit of soft butter on there, as you can see, and I rubbed and I saved my paper towel. You want your pan about 300 degrees. And you roll the pan around and you let that batter coat the bottom. I've got it on medium heat. We're going to let that cook until the steam bubbles start to lift that crepe off the pan. I always like to make one crepe before I actually continue to make them, just to check, make sure the batter is right, and to make sure that the pan is working well. I got my mushrooms here, they're looking nice. Nice high heat. Now, as far as savory crepes, unlimited what you can do. You know, I've done at the restaurant, we used to do a turkey and cheese with a nice cream sauce, and we did the ham and cheese with the mushroom sauce. But I mean, you can fill a savory crepe with, you know, we did a spinach and feta with leek, and then a nice dill hollandaise on top. So you can fill crepes with whatever you want. Like I said, for dessert at the restaurant, we used to put a piece of cheesecake into a crepe and fold it up, put whipped cream and blueberry sauce on top. It was delicious. Now, as you can see, this crepe is starting to bubble up here. You know, we've got butter in the batter. So, and you grab it and you flip it over like so. And now, you know, another reason why I test my first crepe is to make sure my pan, I got it right to the right amount of heat. You know, if your pan is too hot, it'll cook too quickly, brown too much. If your pan isn't hot enough like I have here, you know, I have to turn it up a little bit. So the first crepe is actually, you know, just a test to see where we're at. But like I said, this recipe is really foolproof. It's the one that I've used my whole life. And it's always worked out great. So, as you can see, our pan needed to be a little bit hotter because we're not getting the color that we normally would like to see on that. You know, we've got a little bit of light brown going, but we want to see color all over that crepe. You know, that caramelization gives you some great flavor. So, and also when you let your crepe batter rest, it lets the glutens all settle down, so you have a nice tender crepe. By the way, this is also the same recipe for making manigot, you know, the Italian dish. It's cannelloni is pasta tube, but manigotta is the crepe that's filled with ricotta and Parmesan cheese with seasonings and rolled up and then topped with a beautiful marinara sauce and baked. One of my favorite dishes. This crepe recipe will work for that as well. So as you can see, I've got my heat back. I'm starting to brown nicely now. I'm going to set this one aside. I'm going to add just a touch of butter. I still have some on my paper towel here. You know, I've got a 6-ounce ladle here. And I roll the pan around to get it to the edges. And you keep rolling it around until all that batter isn't moving anymore. And there we go. So now we've got our crepe going. I'm going to get rid of this one. Nothing wrong with that. You can put strawberry jam on it, sliced bananas and Nutella, wrap it up and eat it as a snack as you're going. But as you can tell, this crepe is cooking much quicker now. And my mushrooms need a little cream to make it a cream sauce. And we're going to season that with a little bit of salt and pepper. Got a little salt in there. I put a little black pepper in my mortar. You know how I feel about black pepper. I like to do it fresh as I need it. The flavor of fresh ground black pepper it just can't be duplicated. It's important that you do it. And again, you don't need the mortar and pestle like I have. You can use a pepper grinder. So, you know, just a little bit there. And we'll give that a little mix. We got our mushrooms are cooked now, and they're in the cream sauce. Actually, they're in the heavy cream. You could use half and half if you wanted. You know, have a rubber spatula just so you can get underneath the crepe. But notice how we've got a nice color now. I'm using muenster today for my ham and cheese crepe, and I got a nice Virginia ham, and I like it shaved. And I like it shaved because it warms up very quickly, and it kind of gives you some volume to that crepe, something to cut into. So that's going nicely. I'm going to get one of my nice platters to put this on. Now, also what I'm going to show you today is beurre Meunier. Beurre Meunier is equal parts soft butter and flour. And we used to use this in the French restaurants that I've worked in to finish sauces with a little bit of butter, and it helped thicken the sauce. And all you do is the difference between this and roux is cooked and beurre Meunier is raw. So this is for like a minute a la minute sauce when you're using beurre Meunier. Excuse me, because it doesn't get cooked out after you've added it. You know, you swirl just a little bit in, and it thickens your sauce up nicely. And it gives you a little bit of richness. And all I needed for that was like a half a tablespoon. Now, it got a little bit thick on me, so I'm just going to add a little bit of heavy cream. Maybe another little splash of white wine. And I believe my crepe is ready because I can see the cheese is melted. I fold it in quarters. I set it on my plate. I turn my heat off for my plate. I've got my mushroom cream sauce. I put that over the top like so. And maybe just a little bit of black pepper over the top. And to show you what this looks like inside, you can see that inside of that crepe. You can see the ham and the cheese, and it's just, as you can see, that's just a beautiful, quick dinner, light dinner. You can serve this with a salad, with vinaigrette. This is a tasty one. I hope you join me again soon. This is crepes, savory style, ham and cheese with a mushroom cream sauce. I hope you try it, and we'll see you next time on Medusa's Kitchen.